Stay a while and listen. This is Brachio Bales coming to you from my sanctuary on the D2R Discord. On this episode, we talk about potential new rune words and the unlimited magic find Easter egg. Enjoy. All right, welcome. Today, we are joined by the same group from last week. It's myself, Brachio Bales. We're also joined by Crude Sash, Planetary, and Tyrael Archaea. Now, this week, we thought it would be fun to take a crack at creating potential new rune words. And so in preparation for this, we each came up with a new rune word and wrote it out, and we're going to take turns going through what those rune words are. And then, I guess, a quick description of why and what the thought process was behind it. So I guess I'll go first. So the rune word I came up with, I called Athulua's Glory. It's a 3-socket helm consisting of low, ko, and cham. Required level 67. And it includes 1 to 2 all skills, which varies. 150 to 250% enhanced damage, so also variation there. 20% bonus to attack rating, 20% increased attack speed, 30% deadly strike, 10 to 20 strength, 10 to 20 dexterity, 1 to 3 mana per kill, a flat 50% better chance of getting magic items, and cannot be frozen. Now, this one, I kind of looked at what are the best helms out there currently for like Barbarian Ariat's Face. The idea behind it was something that's like a step up from those, mostly geared towards Boazons, but it's not like specific Amazon skill levels. I just did 1 to 2 all skills, and again, the idea behind it being a prime option for Boazons, because right now with Boazons, I think the meta, at least what I'm running on my Boazon, is a G face, and while that's good, I think it still is a little lackluster for what a Boazon really wants. And then I also threw the cannot be frozen on it because that frees up a potential for another item, probably a ring, if that's where you're getting it from. But it can also be used for other physical damage classes and builds as well. Even a barbarian might like it. And also, I guess I'll also mention that the 50% magic find, Boazons typically, like the stuff that they use, the gear that they use, doesn't have a lot of MF on it. Like the only place you're really getting MF is
like Geeds.
Yeah, your Geeds and charms and stuff. So I just thought it would be cool to kind of like bump that up a little bit. So that's mine. That's Athulua's Glory, and actually the name comes from lore. It's like the deity from that the Amazons actually believe in from their religion.
That's awesome. Oh, really? That's sweet. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That was going to be my question for you, because I was like, that's a very specific and odd name, so that makes sense.
Yeah. So anyway, that was mine. Tyrael, you've got one here?
Yeah, so we were talking last week, and we brought up that melee could use some loving. So I decided to make this one a very high-end requirements, but it was also in an attempt to kind of take a shot at Mosaic, because as high-end as this isn't something that I could slap on with no other gear. and destroy the way that Mosaic does, and you'll see that my runes are significantly higher. That being said, this would be a really cool one to see happen. It's high enough that it would be overpowered, but it's going to take you the time to get there. So mine is Phantom, and that comes from the bonus that it gives you. It's going to be 4 socket armor, Cham, Bear, Ja, and Zod, required level then being 69. Give it +2 to all skills. Gonna give it 30% requirement reduction, and we did the math. If we did it correctly, that would make it so even if you had sacred armor, ethereal, that would knock it down to 155 strength requirement, which would then put it well in the realm of anyone being able to use it if you're using the monarch spirit. Plus 250 to 300% enhanced defense, plus 150 to 200% enhanced damage, and then gaseous form. What this would do would make your player look ethereal and would allow you to move through barriers unhindered. I figured that it would be around the same distance that you could travel unhindered through a barrier would be similar to what a teleport does. That way it would be an alternative to teleport, and Enigma wouldn't have to be the meta anymore for pretty much everything.
That's sweet.
50%.
Yeah, that's sweet. Could I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is the intention that you would be able to pass through walls, not just barriers, but walls?
Yes.
So you could basically just run anywhere unhindered.
As long as like that distance would be similar to what a teleport can go through, because you have somewhere like you have that U shape in the map, and it's like 3 football fields. You're not going to be able to run solid football fields, but
interior walls, not exterior walls.
Correct.
Yeah. Yes. And that includes like enemies. That includes like any structures that are in the way.
So I'm a little torn on the enemies thing. I mean, teleport can do that. I was more wanting this to be mobility. I wouldn't be opposed to it being able to be used in such a way that you can get through enemies.
And worth pointing out though that this would be probably a completely new mechanic as well.
Yeah, I'm sure they could probably piggyback off of like Fade for the look of your character, and distance wise they could probably piggyback off the coding for teleport. But yes, this would be 100% new something that hasn't been seen in the game before.
Thank you. Please continue.
Yeah. Yep. So 50% chance of crushing blow, 50% deadly strike, 50% chance of open wounds, plus 50% faster run walk, level 10 might aura, level 10 concentration aura, increase maximum life by 5%, damage reduced by 8%, prevent monster heal, all resistances plus 75, cannot be frozen, and indestructible. And again, I'm well aware of the fact that this is an overpowered rune word, but this was me giving both love to the melee like we discussed, and to call out the ridiculousness that is Mosaic, because as we discussed, you have 3 OS claws. It honestly doesn't matter what they are. If they can have 3 socket and then 2 mail, 2 gull, and 2 if, is way easier to get your hands on than a Cham, Bear, Ja, and Zod. And yet it would walk all over this.
Yeah. Honestly, if you paired this with Mosaic, like
it'd be so gross.
Oh,
dude.
Okay.
Crazy. All right. Anything else on that one?
Other than we haven't heard it yet, but I think it's Nate's. I think this and Nate's would pair really well together for melee. But yeah, you just made me absolutely terrified of the power that Mosaic would hold with this. That'd be the new meta, Phantom Mosaics.
It'd be so disgusting.
We may have just ruined my rune.
Yeah, it'd be so cool.
I just got to say that some people, they march. Some people go on hunger strikes. Some people burn their bras. But Tyrael develops rune words when he wants to stand up to the man.
You got it.
So So I guess it's safe to say, Tyrael, that you're, and I think we talked about it last week, but you're a proponent of toning down Mosaic a little bit.
Correct, and I don't presume to be in a position to know the best way to do that, but I can, I can read the writing on the wall. When I'm seeing the top of the leaderboard since this thing has come out being Mosaic, it's a little frustrating to see that something that is so rune-wise low-powered and has such an impact, you're essentially putting the components together that make a grenade and you're able to throw a nuke. It makes no sense. So I don't know what the solution is in the short or long run of things. I just know that a solution is needed.
That's fair. All right, Planetary, you're up.
All right, so I know we all kind of had a little bit of a similar thing trying to buff up melee. I went a little more towards barbarians. To try and help with that cleave, getting more enemies hit at once. And then surprisingly, it also turned into a great mercenary helm. Okay, so I started with Foe Smasher, is what it's called. It's a 3-socket helm, jaw, low, burr. Required level is 78. I have 150 enhanced damage, a level 10 vigor aura when equipped, 25% chance that physical damage causes corpses to explode. I'll explain that a little bit after I go through the list. 10% increased attack speed, 10% chance of crushing blow, 10% deadly strike, 10% chance of open wounds, and ignore target defense. So to just kind of add on to the 25% chance physical damage causes corpses to explode, kind of thought of this working the same way that kind of corpse explosion does, but it's a little more automatic. So the reason I also went for doing chance physical damage causes as opposed to that's say melee damage, is I thought that this helmet would also be great for throw barbs. So as long as that physical damage is happening, you have a chance for this to kind of take place, and maybe you get some kind of chain reaction while you're at it as well. So it would work almost very similar to corpse explosion. As long as you're doing that physical damage, it dies, that corpse then pops and explodes and does even more physical damage. So it's a way I kind of looked at it to have barbarians get a little boost of their speed. And then, obviously get some more damage going, as well as, once those corpses start popping off, you might get a little bit of a chain reaction on a mob, and then you can clear things a little bit faster than they're just using whirlwind or something, for example.
Yeah, it would be crazy if you used whirlwind with that.
It'd be so gross.
Into a pack of mobs, that would be crazy. And also, I think it's worth mentioning that when we talked about this, when you and I, you had put it together and we were talking through it, I was like, I think originally you had it at 100% chance, and I was thinking, oh man, that I feel like every fourth hit is probably more in line with being realistic rather than
I agree
100%.
as well. Yeah, I agree as well. I was so happy you called that out, because I was thinking after, and I'm like, oh god, that is way too gross. It'd probably just slow your PC down to a lull at that point.
Yeah, and it's definitely I think a good way to add the splash damage that I think a lot of people have been wanting and talking about for years.
I agree.
So it uses kind of an existing mechanic, and just changes it a little bit, gives it a % chance, and it allows other classes to have that, which is cool.
Yeah. And I thought too, even if you had this on an A2 merc or even an A1 or an A5 merc, it would be great. It'd be super speedy.
An Act 5 merc with that, with Frenzy.
Beautiful.
Oh, dude.
A couple of last wishes on them.
It'd be disgusting.
It'd be so gross.
I'd put a grief and an oath.
Now, what if you put that helm? Plague. What if you put that helm on a Javazon?
Yeah, it is, yes, but then you're right. It probably would be better.
Even a boa too would be gross.
Yeah, a Strafazon, yes.
It's
Mhm.
so gross. You could just imagine their strafe and everything just pop, 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 pop. It'd be like popcorn just exploding everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, basically any build that does even a portion physical damage, um,
Yeah,
that
it would,
attacks fast.
yeah, it would definitely work for.
Mhm.
I initially built it for barbs, but now I'm looking at it too, and I'm like, oh, and any mercenary too, even like anything really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool to see for sure. All right, last one we have on the list here is crude. So go ahead.
Okay, so to start, I did some research because I have felt for a while that the early game, and when I say early, I kind of mean late normal into nightmare. I guess I should say early to mid game, kind of is missing chunks of rune words that can help classes, and nightmare is typically the easiest of the difficulties. You get that delta where your skills have bumped up, and the monsters haven't quite caught up yet like they have in hell. And for the most part, nightmare you can kind of skate. But as I was looking, I found a lot of rune word stuff that we don't use a lot. And I said to myself, we kind of have that filled. We've got our low level weapons, and we graduate into our spirits and our insights and some other things. And we've got some stuff that would really work in Nightmare well. So I started to then focus on what I felt was the biggest inequity when it comes to monster damage, and that's dolls. So dolls have no in-game ability to counter, and they're the only thing in the game that doesn't have a counter. As dangerous and ferocious as Gloams and Hell Witches can be, Gloams especially,
Mhm.
if you have the right gear, if you have max lightning resist and you pop on a Thunder Guards or a ground, you can combat those Gloams and you can take them on. There is nothing that stops that insane damage from dolls. Even builds that invest in a lot of physical damage reduction still take damage from those dolls.
Mhm.
So I started thinking about that, and I was like, okay, what if we brought in a mechanic that would help fight that specific problem and also be used in other areas as well? Anything where you can leverage a high risk, high reward kind of thing. And so I came up with Savior. Savior is a 3-socket armor. It uses Doll, Zod, and Hell. The reason for the Doll, it is the lowest represented rune aside from Cam and Zod in the game. And when it comes to rune words, the reason for Zod is because I think this is a very powerful thing that should not be used lightly, and the Hell is just to give everybody a bigger chance to use it. I'm kind of big on those things. So we have 1 to all skills, static 1 to all skills, 10% experience gained. We only have a couple items in the game that give us experience. We have the Annihilus Charm, and we have Ondal's Wisdom, I believe it's called, which is a staff, and it only gives you 5%. And that's kind of a niche thing. This could be for any class to use, obviously.
Also shrines, but
and
that's
shrines,
the only
of course, yeah.
only other mechanic. Yeah.
Right, yeah. 20% faster run walk, because why not? 15 to 25 resist all, kind of a varying thing. I didn't want to make it too, huge there. The cheat death mechanic, which I'll explain in a second. And then, of course, the rune bonuses, indestructible from Zod, 7 to life replenish from the Doll rune, and 15% less requirements needed from the Hell rune. So the cheat death mechanic would kind of work like this. Anytime your character would take fatal damage, a hit that's going to kill you, you would get, instead of dying, you would get brought back to 20% health, and for 3 seconds, you would be invulnerable to all damage. This cheat death is very similar in style and function to the cheat death function that's found in Diablo 3, Diablo 4, and World of Warcraft. It would have an internal timer that you couldn't see because D2R doesn't display timers, where it would not work for at least another 60 seconds. So you're not going to abuse it. You're not going to be invulnerable all the time, but it does give you that breath when you encounter dolls or gloams or whatever it might be that you're facing, and you're in that high charge situation, and you've got a chance to breathe and save yourself and get out of that situation. Now, for hardcore purists, I'm sure they would be up in arms and say, no, you can't have a cheat death mechanic. And to that I say, don't make the rune word. But for all the rest of us, give us freedom from dolls and freedom from tyranny.
It is really cool. I have two thoughts on it. The first one being, I realize that it is meant for, I think you said for like nightmare, not meant necessarily for hell.
Oh no, it's meant for hell. Sorry if I didn't finish that thought. My original thought process was to find something that would work in the early game, but then I felt that was covered enough. I didn't need to add to that grouping, and instead I focused on the end game and the biggest challenge.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for clarifying, because my initial thought was, well, it's required level 69 and it uses a Zod rune. I mean, I guess you could make it crazy and be like, make it required level 10 and then basically make it so that essentially you'd have to have played through the game and have a good character where you were able to get a hold of a Zod and then go back and like be able to buff a new character. That doesn't exist at all. I don't think there are any like high level rune words. I'm pretty sure there aren't any high level rune words that are meant to like that you can only get once you get to end game and then give it to a character to use to start a new, when you start a new character.
That kind of, I guess, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say on the last episode, I kind of went into that talking about like a little bit how like World of Warcraft has armors like that you can, you have to be a high level character to obtain and find, but then you can be used on your characters as you're leveling up to make that a lot smoother moving forward. Could kind of maybe fit within that group too.
Yeah.
You still have to consider the fact, though, that with the Zod in there, it would have to be level 69 unless there was something that lowered that.
Yeah, of course. I was just kind of thinking outside of the box a little bit there.
Yeah, I mean, you could just throw like reduced requirements by some ridiculous number like 300% or whatever. I don't know how that would, like 90%. I don't know. Anyway,
0 strength is
great.
Well, the only thing that would change with that is if we were going to have a game change where they said, hey, you know what? Instead of making people beg for rushes and G rushes, we're going to let you build an item that will help lower level characters progress through the game faster. Once you've had that character, that initial character get through the game, now here's a rune word you can make. It'll take you some hefty runes like you're saying, but once you pop them in, there's a special effect that lowers the level requirement down to this crazy low number, a totally new mechanic. But now you can slap that on your next guy and you don't have to go try to do rushes or glitch rushes. You can just take your guy, he's got a massive experience gain, and you can just run through the game and get to where you want to go, quicker. That would have to be Blizzard acknowledging the fact that people are not exploiting. I don't mean that, but they're getting to those levels by using these other methods, and this is something that would just circumvent that and put it in the agency in the hands of the player and not have to go out to that outside step of
and also, let's be honest, with a 10% experience gained bonus, people would be using that in endgame too to hit 99.
Oh, of course.
Yes, of course. Yep. Yeah.
And the other thing I want to say is the cheat death mechanic. That reminds me of when I used to play World of Warcraft, like doing like what is it, Warsong Gulch and what was the one in the snow? You know what I'm talking about? It was another PvP zone.
Yeah, it's Alterac Valley.
Yes, AV. It kind of reminds me, like I used to play World of Warcraft and did a lot of PvP and stuff, and I always played a hunter, and I hated playing against paladins because they could do that. They bubble.
Yeah, they would bubble
and heal, or even if you see them out in the real world, they could bubble and go back to town.
Yep, Bubble Hearth.
Yeah.
And then rogues were given a cheat death mechanic. I want to say it was in Burning Crusade actually, and it eventually evolved to other classes. Many classes have cheat death mechanics built in that you can have for your character, and it works like just like this. There's an internal cooldown, and that was what inspired this thought, was those mechanics that exist in other games, and why not have it here?
Yeah, I know. And I'm sure for all of these that we've discussed, purists will lose their minds. I think you've already mentioned that before for years, but like in general, I think for all of these, they are not. They're looking at the game differently.
Yes,
I think
agree.
a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying mine's better in any way, but I think the one thing that mine has going for it is that it doesn't introduce any new mechanics or anything. It kind of works within the game as it is now.
Yeah, I agree. But it would be cool to see this stuff. We were kind of
yeah. Don't take it the wrong way. I like
no, not at
all.
I
think it would be cool to have that stuff. But when I'm
yours is just easier,
right? Well, when I'm thinking about, hey, if they do updates and they introduce new rune words, like the one that I did, maybe has a little. It's
a higher possibility,
more likelihood, because there's a lower barrier to entry because it doesn't require that stuff. I would love to see new things introduced, but if some reason they looked at this and they were going to introduce a new rune word and they were like, oh yeah, that one's easily doable, I wouldn't be disappointed.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, it'd be a lot easier for yours to be created than, and then it's like, okay, now we have to have devs go in and create new content and new ways, the mechanics, the way the game works. So
yeah. But just to be clear, they're all very cool. Like,
yeah, I agree.
This would be awesome.
So sweet.
Yeah. All right.
So I did a quick search, by the way. It looks like the negative requirements does not affect levels.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
I looked at Rock Fleece, and the Rock Fleece versus just the regular field plate requires the same level.
Right.
So that would have to be a new mechanic introduced as well.
Yeah. I figured that would be the case. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the Magic Find Easter egg that was discovered not that long ago, a few years ago now, but I don't think it's very well understood. And we have a write-up from the legendary Pavkey. We will get into that next. This episode is brought to you by our D2R Discord and subreddit. Come join our community of over 100,000 combined members. Ask questions, interact with other players, get real-time updates on Diablo Clone and Terror Zones, join voice channels and kill hordes together, enter our giveaways, or just hang out and chat. If you love D2R as much as we do, be sure to check it out. Links in the description. All right, and we are back. So next up, we're going to talk about the Souls Easter egg. And Pavkey, the legendary contributor to the D2 community, has graciously offered to put together a write-up on all the details. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through this, and we'll pause periodically to discuss it. And then at the end, I'll share a little bit of my experience using it, and also maybe a recommendation. And then I think we'll probably talk about how an Easter egg like this could go 20 years without being discovered, or at least publicly known. We'll get into that. All right, so from the top here, the Souls Easter egg involves a group of 4 or more burning souls performing a ritualistic dance when isolated. There are two distinct types of this Easter egg: the letters ritual and the pentagram ritual. Now, the pentagram ritual is the simpler of the two, and it doesn't provide any special reward. When 5 burning souls are near you with no other monsters within about 2 screens, they will begin a ritual. They surround your character and use their lightning attacks to draw a pentagram shape around you. After a few strikes, they return to their regular behavior. This ritual is purely visual and does not grant any magic find or hidden bonus. I think, like, in my experience when I was trying to do it, I think I did run into that, not knowing that I wasn't actually getting the bonus. At the time, I don't think all the information was out, and or at least I didn't know it. And I figured the more souls you could get, the better off it was. Yeah, and I don't think any of you have actually done this before, right?
No, I haven't, like, myself. But I'm like, to be honest, when were you going to just stand around a bunch of burning souls and just hope that they make a pentagram around you, you know?
And the thing is, they're so dangerous that you wouldn't. So that,
exactly.
It's a brilliant way to put in an Easter egg.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
I've never done it myself, and that's primarily the reason. I mean, I didn't know about it, 1, but 2, usually I kill them as fast as I possibly can.
Or just run away.
One of the two, exactly.
Yeah.
To be fair, if they started making that shape around me, I figure, like, as dangerous as they are, they're gonna, like, fry my account or something.
Yeah.
Figure out
what's weird
is.
when you do it is that they actually like start out attacking you, but then they start not damaging you, which is like weird because they do so much damage and they're so ferocious. But anyway,
I'd assume it's lag at that point.
Right. All right, so we'll get into the letters ritual. So the letters ritual is a more complex and rewarding for the player, with a hidden magic find bonus. It requires exactly 4 souls and no other monsters nearby within about 2 screens. And when these conditions are met, the 4 souls will begin to form one of 7 letters using their attack patterns. So essentially what they do is they start shooting lightning and forming letters. The letters are D, E, M, and then there's a little bit of ambiguity with the 4th letter. Some people say it's a V. Other people say it's actually like a Diablo-style pentagram symbol. And then it does RPS. And these letters are thought to represent the initials of the key Diablo 2 developers, when they were developing D2. So D is for David Brevik, E is for Eric Schaefer, M is for Max Schaefer. The V is either that pentagram or the V is for Robert Vieira. R is for Rick Seiss. P is for Phil Shank, and S is for Stig Hedlund. So that's what the letters represent, is those developers. So D, E, M, V, maybe, and RPS. All right, so what does it do?
That's so cool.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, I just think it's really cool. Like, if it is leaning towards like a little hint towards the main developers, that's just such a cool little homage for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So what does it do? This event grants you a hidden magic find bonus, and it's calculated at, like, the following. So there are 4 souls. They do 7 letters, and it represents at different difficulty levels. So normal, nightmare, and hell. And it applies a bonus of 50, 100, or 150 magic find based on the difficulty. And when you go through an entire ritual, you get the 4 souls times each letter times each bonus. So in normal, if you go through a full ritual, you get 1400 MF. For Nightmare, you get 2800 MF. And for Hell, you get 4200 MF. And you can actually go through the event multiple times. So you can influence the bonus by interrupting the ritual. For example, killing one of the souls early, or just leaving the area. Which results in a partial MF boost. This bonus, like I mentioned, is stackable with a 72-second cooldown between events. The bonuses last for roughly 19 hours in-game, or until your character dies or exits the game. It works in both online and offline modes, and it takes 3 to 25 seconds to trigger the soul's AI for the event. The bonus is applied to a hidden internal stat that tracks your magic find, so it doesn't actually show in your character's stat screen. And this is likely why players who accidentally triggered the event in the past may have never noticed the MF boost. What do you guys think about that?
That's sweet. That's so much MF. Like on Hell, that's a huge MF bonus.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining someone somehow stumbling through this and then can't figure out why everything they kill is dropping uniques and set items for them. Just very confused. Like, am I just like in a god level game? Like, what is happening here?
You're just hoping that the RNG gods are blessing you.
Yeah, and honestly, I can't remember where I was looking at this, but there was somewhere where it said that basically when you do it, 1 in 4 items is likely to be a unique. That might be wrong, but that's how I interpreted it.
Still, that's crazy.
Yeah,
1 in 4 items.
There's
massive
like
boost.
Yeah, I want to say it might have even been higher. It might have been like a 28% chance that any items that roll are unique.
That's awesome. That'd be like, it'd just be so nice. For example, if you were like, running chaos, or you're like looking for griffins or something that's like real pain.
It's not great if you're trying to find bases.
No,
but other than that, pretty awesome.
So I guess the only way to know then would be technically your game would just start popping off and you're getting these amazing drops left, right, and center. It'd be the only way for you to be like, oh, okay, something's going on here.
Yeah.
TZ Andy drops you like 2 griffins and Akira's in the same kill. Like wait a minute.
Something's up here.
Yeah, and certainly I think it would be more helpful if you did this when you were on like P5 or P7, but if you even P3, but let's get into how it was discovered. So it was likely known to experienced modders and reverse engineers for some time. The code for the event can be found in the D2Mu project on GitHub, and it's been public for years. But it seems most modders simply found it interesting and moved on. The pentagram ritual was first publicly mentioned in May 2020 on the Pure Diablo forums by a user named Fruit. He did not know about the letter ritual at the time. The letters ritual was first mentioned to Pavki's knowledge on November 2nd, 2021 in the Frozen Keep Discord by the user NullPTR, who was reversing the Burning Soul AI code. It came up again on June 16th, 2023 in the same Discord, and shortly after, someone informed Mr. Llama SC, who made a video about it. It's been confirmed that this Easter egg has been in the game since version 1.0, and it was confirmed by Peter Hu, lead developer for patch 1.10, that it was secretly added by Rick Sace. None of the other devs were aware of it, and fun fact, Rick Sace is also the namesake for the Steel Boss, Lord DeSace.
Huh.
To clarify, that would be literally launch,
Yes.
right? The launch
It was
Yes.
game
available on
1.0.
launch. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
So it in 2000, and like the
Yeah, that's a
first
lot.
right, and the first pentagram ritual, which didn't even give an MF boost, wasn't discovered till May 2020, at least publicly.
20 years. Wow.
Yeah, and then, as I had mentioned, the letters ritual wasn't discovered until, again, publicly, until 2021. So that one was 21 years.
That's crazy. That much time passed.
That just makes me wonder how many other games are sitting on 20-year-old secrets.
Probably
like
none.
this that people have no idea.
Probably none.
You don't
No.
think so?
Makes me think, like, what other things did they potentially hide?
That too.
Like,
Yeah,
if this can go 20 years without being discovered, who knows what other little small things they threw in?
Yeah, it would be interesting to find out if there were actually undiscovered rune words. But I think at this point, the game code has been thoroughly reviewed by
Yeah.
modders, and like the source code's actually available. You can go get it at any time.
Feel like somebody would probably pick it
Yeah.
up there.
Right. Anyway, so just a little bit left here, and then I'll talk about my experience using it. So how useful is it? Well, Pavky says that in his opinion, this is a cool and nostalgic Easter egg, but not particularly practical in modern gameplay, and here's why. Diminishing returns. MF has diminishing effectiveness, especially past 800 MF. Going from 800 to 4200 MF gives very little extra benefit. The setup time takes 5 to 15 minutes, finding souls, clearing the area, isolating them, waiting for the AI to trigger, all while surviving their deadly lightning attacks. The efficiency. Most unique items aren't especially valuable or useful for trading these days. Well, that's true. And then practicality. The buff lasts for 19 hours or until death, but realistically, how often do you play that long without restarting? Every new game requires a full setup again. So, based on that, what do you guys think?
It's just something that's more cool, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like something interesting to see.
I think I wouldn't mind
Sorry, Tyrael, go ahead.
like doing it once. I don't think I'd mind doing it like once, but if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do a hell game, gonna get the setup, and then I'm gonna do literally from Act 1 camp, and I'm gonna walk
Mm-hmm.
and just see what I can do from Act 1, very first thing, all the way to Act 5. Play basically through the entire campaign again, just without, the quests and stuff, just to see what I can pull. And then after that, I don't know that I would take the time to ever use it again.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if there were crap TZs and like you were in a game that was a crap TZ and you went and did that and then just did the TZ and then waited for the next TZ and it was crap too. Like, I guess, you could kill time in between, but that might be a way to do it as well. But I would say, in my experience using it, it isn't quick. So 5 to 15 minutes is realistic. But I guess what I would maybe recommend is if you do it with another person. So you work together to kind of clear the area, and then you each grab one soul or two souls and bring them to that corner of the map. I would clear the top left corner of the map, because normally you come in and I think normally you're near the top left corner. So I would just work out of that corner, clear that area, then you each kind of venture out and grab two souls, bring them back to that corner, and then you both get the MF buff, and that should potentially cut down on the setup time. Of course,
agree.
that requires you to have someone to play with. A lot of people play solo or solo online, but if you have that option and you have extra accounts, you could bump it up to P5 or P7 and do it that way.
You just need a friend with like 8,000 life to keep getting hit by the souls and living.
Yeah, well, so they, like I said, once they start the ritual, they stop attacking you.
Even with the letters?
Yeah, it doesn't do
Okay,
damage
that's cool.
to you. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but definitely a huge shout out to Pavki for doing this write up for us.
I agree. Thank you.
He's a legend, and we're still working on trying to get him to come on the podcast, but we'll see.
With due time.
Yeah. So next week, I think we're gonna have our first guest. We'll see. He's already said yes, but the streamer, that dude Willie D, should be joining us next week.
Awesome.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah, so that'll be a fun conversation.
So you had wanted to talk about what made you, what kept this hidden for 20 years, and I do have some ideas.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, honestly, I don't know. I mean, it is very well hidden.
Right.
And they're like, people either try to kill them right away or GTFO. So, I mean, that's my only thought is, that's probably why it lasted as long as it did.
Well, I think, and this is just pure supposition, I think that people who might have known about it in the early days probably kept it to themselves or to a small group.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
To gain advantage, especially because in the pre-109, as mentioned, or maybe, I don't know if we skipped this part, so pre-109 in the early patches of the game, this is before the expansion, so in Diablo 2 Classic, or the original Diablo 2, however you want to call it. So in patch 107, patch 108, Magic Find did not have diminishing returns. So once you got to a certain point, and I think 4200 is the point, uniques and sets would be the only things that would drop. It would take magic off the table, it would take white and gray off the table, and it would just leave uniques and sets. So once you got that buff, you could go through the game the way Tyrael mentioned, and everything you get is unique or a set. And I find that interesting because back in the day, there was a thing called a drop mod. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, that was available offline that would trigger that basic same effect. So everything you hit, everything dropped green and gold. No matter whatever, as long as that item could do it, it would do a green and gold, or it would do a rare if it had no unique component. People use it offline. I despise mods like that. I think it takes away from the element of the game, but this isn't a soapbox, sorry. So anyway, I wonder if that kind of mechanic was driven by that. Like, it's like, okay, that's in the code, and maybe that's how they did it. Anyway, so I think that's part of it. I think the arcane ritual is another factor of actually getting to do it. And also, if you think back to the early days, pre-109, there was no Thunder God's Vigor. That was an expansion item. So you had to really, really work hard to have enough lightning resist and enough life in the classic game to survive that onslaught, even for those few seconds. And that's probably what, dissuaded a lot of people as well. It was such a difficult thing, and you probably needed, high level character, a lot of life, just, a real specific set just to get to do it. And, with the game the way it was back then, there probably weren't a lot of guarantees that you're going to just be able to coast through the rest of the game. And if you've gotten that high level already, what are you looking for? Also, pre-expansion, the pool of uniques and sets was not that great. It was mostly, I believe it was only normal items. I don't even think they were exceptionals yet. So what were you really, going for? Now, after the expansion, now that's different. And prior to the 110 rune words coming out, that would have been a really sweet spot for people to abuse. So I'm really, really surprised. And if any of you played back in those days online, I didn't. I wonder if there were people who just seemed to be abnormally wealthy, and maybe they knew about this and were able to, get that, little bit of advantage, because after 109, they did have the diminishing returns, but they probably still had an edge over people. If you run a character that's built for beating the game. You're not building an MF character, but you're building a character that can take on this damage. So you've got this strong, powerful character, and now you're giving them this free, huge, massive MF chunk. They're at a huge advantage. And I'm not a big conspiracy theorist overall, but I really wonder if that mechanic had anything to do with how many Stones of Jordan arrived in the game. Was that some type of, was that a way for that to open that door? And I know in the early game, in the original Diablo, there was a lot of duping that unfortunately filtered online, and you had Rust Storms to help fight that and everything. So maybe this wasn't needed for that. Maybe I'm just extrapolating. So anyway, that's kind of my thoughts. I think the combination of it being difficult to do, kind of pointless in the early game, and the diminishing returns afterwards, I think kind of was like, yeah, it's nice, but I'm not going to waste 15 to 20 minutes setting it up. But the fact that nobody talked about it for that long, it's kind of astounding. It really is. It's astounding.
Yeah, I would agree. And yeah, I do wonder if it was known and
exploited.
Used.
Yeah.
And it's a good term for it. Exploited for a long time before it was publicly available and shared.
Yeah, it would definitely make sense to do pre-110.
Or pre-109.
You just be rolling. Sorry, yeah, pre-109. I mean, you'd just be rolling and it'd be perfect. At that point, everything was unique.
It'd be interesting to see if we get any comments in chat or comments on the video from folks. If anyone's listening that used this back then, let us know. It'd be cool
interesting to hear.
It'd be cool to hear that.
What I have to say is, if this was known, these are the people you tell secrets to, because that ain't going nowhere.
Yes,
keeping
I
that
agree.
for 20 freaking years. Because any exploit you ever hear, how fast is it before it's found out?
Yeah.
Week 2 tops in most cases.
Yeah, it's totally possible though. Alternatively, that it was put in the game and no one ever knew, and he never told anyone, and it went 20 years before it was discovered, when they actually got a chance to look at the code and back engineer it.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Who did you say put this in again? Rick Sace? That guy, I hope he's listening to this when it comes out and just starts giggling because he's so happy that it took so long for people to figure it out.
Oh, if I was him, I'd be laughing. It'd be so funny to see 20 years pass, like, oh wow, they're finally starting to figure that out.
Yeah, and I guess I would say, Rick, if you're listening, reach out to us. We want to talk to you, and bravo.
Yes, please. Because well played, sir. Well played.
All right.
He's sitting at home going, I forgot about this.
Yeah. All right. Well, good conversation, guys. I really like this.
I agree.
Oh, before I forget, there was one thing I wanted to mention about the setup. If you go to do it, you have to kill your merc off first.
Okay.
Oh,
because your merc will attack him and kill him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing you want to make sure that you take the gear off your merc, go get him killed, go do this solo or with a partner, and then go res your merc.
Not my boy Emilio.
Yeah.
Emilio.
Nate, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So, say that you went and did this ritual, but we're going to put an imaginary stop on it and tell you that it will fade away after you kill your first boss. So you can have it run until you kill a boss.
Okay.
What zone are you going into and why?
Oof. Let me think. I'm tied between two, but I'm gonna probably go with Tristram. Not Tristram, Trav. And the reason I would
Okay.
do Trav is because I can bring my barb there and hork my way to oblivion. And it's a really sweet, quick, easy run, and there's a lot of unique mobs. Well, there's the one big unique mob in there. And that's personally what I would do is I would go to Trav and I would run Trav with all that MF, and then I would hork. I'd probably do the entire area as well, do all of Trav, and then I would hork every single body that I came across.
Awesome.
That, I mean, I was also tied with Chaos, but because I love my barbs, I'm definitely going Trav so I can hork my way.
Sir, I owe you a beer because barbarians do not get enough love.
Oh, I love them. They're absolutely, probably my favorite class in Diablo.
Mine too, and even though this is an audio cast, I am wearing my barbarian shirt for this event.
Yeah, you are.
Nice. I actually recently picked up a Diablo sweatshirt.
Ooh, sweet.
An official Blizzard Diablo sweatshirt off of eBay, and I am currently wearing it.
Yeah,
Nice.
you are. I know. I got to start getting some Diablo like merch and sweaters and what have you.
Yeah, I've got a little shrine in the corner of my office with a bunch
Same.
of Diablo stuff.
All right, then I got to make a shrine too. Guess we're all having shrines.
So this will actually probably crack breakup because you've heard me kind of rip on Mosaic so much. Back when it was LOD, my gamer tag was Assassin8788, and now it's so far from what I actually enjoy playing that it's funny to look back and go, man, that used to be my my gamer tag back then.
No, you
My-
can't stand me.
My gamer tag has always been Brachio Bales, even since playing, LOD back in the day in like 2004 through 2008 or whatever it was. 2003 maybe. But it's definitely interesting.
I'm impressed that you've kept it.
Yeah,
that
me too.
long.
To choose also
That's
that long
commitment.
ago and then stick with it and not change.
I periodically, it doesn't happen much anymore, but when, like, back in 2021, 2022, when the game first came out, people would ask me, were you Brachio Bales, back during LOD? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, oh, I remember you. Or
That's crazy.
once in a while I would have people actually that I played with back then that were playing now, and they would join my private games because I used the same game names for my private games, and they would just like pop up and join my game, and I'd be like, what the hell? And they were like, oh, I used to play with you, back in whenever. And I was just like, oh wow. But yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that is sweet, especially after all that time, seeing people still playing.
Yeah, we're a loyal bunch.
Sure are.
All right, so guys, I think that does it for this episode. Like I said, we'll be back in about 2 weeks. We're trying to do this bi-monthly, and next episode we will hopefully have our first guest. That dude Willie D will be joining us, and we will see you then.
Thanks
Sounds
for
great.
listening, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Thank you, guys.
Take care. Your presence honors us. And if you enjoy our content, please consider joining our community on Reddit and Discord. And as always, farewell. Until next time.